Swara Media. Welcome to a very special talk show. Hi all, my name is Kriti Podaturu and I am a junior at Rocklin High School. Today we have a very special guest with us here at Swara Media, Miss Tiffany Saathoff.
Good evening, thank you for having me.
Could you please introduce yourself to the Swara Media viewers, Ms. Saathoff?
My name is Tiffany Saathoff and I am a trustee on the Rocklin Unified School District School Board. I am currently serving as the Vice President, and you know, it's been an honor to serve on the school board because I actually attended Rocklin schools myself as a child, was able to be successful at a university, and now come back and give back to my community as a trustee on the school board.
What inspired you to run for the school board?
Well, I will tell you, Kriti, I actually wanted nothing to do with politics. I was a mom in the community that was really concerned about our students. I had a great experience at Rocklin schools growing up, and then I started to see some of the standards of our schools that I wanted to build on, and I wanted to make sure we offered new and exciting and innovative opportunities for our students. And I actually had somebody call me and ask me if I would be willing to run because I had lived in our community for so many years and served in our community in a variety of ways, both educational and just supporting families and their students. And so I said yes, and it's been a wonderful experience since.
What are the toughest and the best parts of your job?
I would say when it comes to toughest, it's the assumptions that are made. You know, sometimes I wish I had the opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with every single parent and every single student. You know, when you work in a city, we have just over 70,000 people in our city alone and 11,500 students in our district alone. And so I think the hardest part of the job is making sure that I represent each and every student, each and every parent. And so sometimes not having the opportunity to do that is difficult. But one of the greatest parts of the job is when I am able to have conversations with parents that are concerned, and we're able to celebrate great work and great steps that we take to help their students be more successful.
We noticed you've been in this position for a few years now. What's kept you here?
You know, I always tell people it's important to know your why. And so for me on my desk, I actually have 3 things that I keep on my desk to remind me why I do what I do so I can continue to do the great work that we're doing. And the first thing is a photo of my family. It reminds me not only do I want to uphold myself in a way that my kids and my husband would be proud of, but also I want to make sure I represent all of the families in our community. The second thing on my desk is actually a copy of the oath that I said that I committed to uphold and protect the students and families in our district, in our state, in our nation. And then the third thing is actually a plaque that my mom gave to me many, many years ago, and it has a really simple phrase on it. It says, do what is right, not what is easy. And so for me, those are my whys. When it comes time for a hard vote or we have to make a decision of what's going to be best for over 11,000 students. And so for me, I go back to those 3 whys. Families, the oath that I took to protect our students and our families in our community, and then also why I do what I do, to do what is right, not just what is easy. I think in society sometimes it can be easier to do things that aren't difficult, but we don't get results with that. And so part of being a school board member is making sure that I'm continually striving, I'm doing what's best for our students, whether that's easy or not.
Are there any moments of your career that you'll never forget?
Oh boy, I will say getting elected in 2020 was definitely interesting. You know, 2020, 2021, and 2022 were really pivotal moments in our society, in our state, in our nation, really across the world, right? And we had an opportunity as electeds in that moment to really make some decisions that would be better for our students. And those are years that I think I'll always look back on because they weren't easy. They were definitely trying because we had such polarization in our nation where we had some families that wanted one thing and some families that wanted another. But I'm really proud that I was able to sit down and really make decisions that were able to be at the benefit of our students. Nothing else other than what was best for our students.
If you could talk to yourself at the beginning of your career, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
Oh, I would definitely tell myself not to be so focused on my 5-year, 10-year, 15-year plan that I forget the opportunities that I have right in front of me. You know, something I've learned over the years is that if we are waiting for the perfect moment to do the right thing, then we will often miss the opportunity to do the right thing. And so, you know, there were many times before I was 16 that I couldn't wait till I was old enough to drive, or before I was 18 that I couldn't wait until I was old enough to vote. And sometimes that can just feel very limiting as you're growing up and you're wanting to get involved and wanting to make decisions. But I will tell you, when I decided to work with what I have, where I lived, and in the moment, I was able to do a lot of good in our community and really now across our state. And you know, something I always try to remind students and even adults that are looking for their next career, their next opportunity, start with where you're at right now. Start with what you have right now. Random fact about me, I have actually never applied for a job. My entire life, I've never applied for a job. I have completed applications, I have completed interviews, but every single opportunity for me to advance and do something new came because somebody saw me doing something in the community and they called me and invited me. And so I look back and see some of the many incredible things I've been able to be a part of and do. It's because I started with where I was and what I had, and somebody noticed and gave me an opportunity. And so I really encourage individuals, don't be looking for the next opportunity, make a difference where you're at right now.
With your experience, what is one lesson that you wish you could give to the viewers?
Ooh, one lesson. There's lots of lessons. I would say one lesson is to never forget that you are needed for a specific reason. You know, I try to focus my efforts on things that need Tiffany. That if it's something anybody else can do, then I want to give them the opportunity to do it. I want to empower them. I want to help them succeed. But a lesson for me is I constantly remind myself, what is it that Tiffany is needed for? What is it that I uniquely bring to the table? And so my lesson would be a reminder to myself and to really all of the viewers, what are the gifts, talents, and abilities that you have? That your community, your schools, your city council needs you to bring to the table, and they're waiting for someone just like you.
Now let's get down to more school-related items. Do you have any advice for students currently applying to college?
Definitely. College is, for many families, why we do what we do, right? We want our students to be successful. We want them to go out and get a great education so they can make a difference in society. But I get a lot of people that say, at what point? At what point should we start thinking about college? And I tell people this isn't a 1 month or a 1 year process. This is a culmination of years. And the reason for that is colleges are really looking for someone that's well-rounded. Someone that is going to actually give back to society. You know, every university wants to be the university that educates the student that actually finds the cure for cancer, right? They want a student that's going to actually go out and make a difference in the world. And so because of that, when I'm talking with students and parents, I like to remind them that there's several components to the college application process. And a lot of these can be done actually before you even get into high school, and you build on them in your high school years. And you continue them actually through your senior year. And that's, of course, college level coursework. You know, a college wants to know that you're able to handle coursework and get good grades. But in addition to that, they also do want to see your test scores, like your SAT, ACT, and see that you're able to be competent on tests. But that's just a small piece of the puzzle. They also want to see that you're able to go out and make a difference. And so they want to see that you're already serving in your community, that you're already participating in activities, you're already giving back. And actually a lot of college admittance crews, they actually say they look for character. They don't want somebody that can cheat and get good test scores. They want somebody that has integrity, that has a history of showing that they can make a difference, a positive difference in their community. And so I always tell students, you know, right now is about the time. Mid-November is when seniors are typically applying for universities. But don't wait until mid-November. Don't wait until your senior year. Get involved in your community. Join a Key Club. Get involved in Kiwanis. Find ways that you can serve and give back, in addition to keeping that coursework grades up.
How can the school board assist a student who is trying to pursue a higher degree education in a university or a community college?
Well, a couple ways. One, I think it's critical that school board members that are elected, they are very intentional about helping students get ready for college. These are things that don't just happen on accident. One, we need to make sure that the courses that we're offering on our campus are rigorous, that we're providing interventions. If a student is struggling in math in their freshman year, they shouldn't still be struggling in their senior year. It's the responsibility of the district to really come alongside that student, provide interventions to them, and help them get to a place where they can be successful in their studies. But I think it also goes beyond academic opportunities. It also is experience. You know, many districts that see success like ours with students going off to four-year universities, it's because we have specialty programs that we offer our students. We want to make sure that students from a young age have the opportunity to advance, that they're not held back, but they're able to advance and move forward. And those students that need some interventions and need some supports, we get those to them as soon as possible, but we also connect them with real life experiences out in the community. You know, one of the ways we do that is we work with our local chamber and our local businesses. You know, years ago, I was very frustrated. The state actually ended funding for a program called ROP, a Regional Occupational Program. And this was a great program that really gave students the opportunity to be out working with businesses, to be doing research. I actually myself was able to participate in a program when I was in high school that allowed me to be mentored by a local physician and actually go and see what that physician did on a day in and day out basis and apply that to my studies and my academics. And so I think one of the best ways a school board member can help is to not only make sure that we're providing rigorous opportunities for students to continue to excel, we're giving them intervention support, but we're also giving them real life experiences and relationships with local businesses so they can be successful and actually start at a university one step ahead of other students coming out of other districts.
What are your thoughts on the STEM program?
STEM programs are incredibly important. You know, for those listeners, STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. These are four really critical components that we found that students that have exposure to STEM learning lessons early, they're actually more successful in those areas later on in life. And so we actually at Rocklin Unified, the last few years have really had a concerted effort to say that we want to make sure every age range within our school district is getting exposure to STEM activities. Even as young as kindergarten and first grade. Our elementary campuses, we're actually outfitting them now with what we call maker spaces. And these are opportunities where kids get this hands-on experience with science and technology and engineering and mathematics before they become a senior and are applying to colleges and universities. So I highly encourage all viewers and listeners. There's even kits that you can purchase and do at home. There's online learning resources. But the more that you can expose your kids to STEM activities now, the more successful it is for them because they get to build on that learning as the years go on. And it actually makes them more competitive as they get older. And a lot of times people ask me, what do we mean by STEM? It doesn't mean that your kindergartner needs to be doing organic chemistry today. It means exposing them to the world around them of science, exposing them to math, counting trees, but being intentional about the conversations you're having at home, and then working with a school district like ours that really puts an emphasis when students go to library time, they also get makerspace time where they're getting to do hands-on science experiments as early as kindergarten and first grade.
How does the school board plan on infusing leadership into the students of Rocklin Unified School District?
Ooh, great question. Leadership is important. You know, like I mentioned earlier, when students are applying for universities, universities want to see that students are able to go out and make a difference. And one of the ways they do that is they kind of see, they test them on their leadership capabilities. And so the more experiences that we can give students in the area of leadership, the better. We of course have our student body positions where students are actually at a high school level able to practice what it would be like representing their own students, having their own elections on campus. But I really think leadership goes beyond that. It's not just, you know, voting to have a great rally on campus and choosing the mascot of the campus, but it's actually giving them leadership opportunities out in our district. When I was first elected, this was an area that was really important to me. We had some great career pathways, but they were very limited, and they were really only for a few select students. And so I started working with REEF, which is our educational foundation, Rocklin Educational Excellence Foundation. And what REEF does is they really support some of these extra programs, these extracurricular activities. And so I worked with them and asked if we could actually create a leadership program for our students. We had one many years ago and it just had paused because of funding, and so we actually launched a civic leadership program where our students every summer now can actually work within the city. They get paired up with our mayor, our city council, our city planner, and they get to experience what it means to be a leader out in the community during the summer. And we found that to be very beneficial for our students and getting to experience those real life opportunities of what it means to be a leader and actually put into practice the skills that they're learning during their school year.
What is one of the biggest achievements that you have seen a student or a staff member accomplish?
Achievements. So we've had many students. We celebrate. We've had many students go to Harvard and Stanford and really some of the best universities that there are. But if I were to highlight one specific achievement, I would say I am constantly amazed at these students, the graduates that we have, that they actually leave, go off and use their future careers to actually come back and give back to other students. You know, a perfect example of that is Logan Webb. Logan Webb was a Rocklin High graduate. He actually went on and became a professional athlete. And unfortunately, in the last 2 years, we've seen statewide a pandemic of fentanyl. There's really been a drug crisis and a mental health crisis. And at Rocklin Unified, we didn't want to pretend that wasn't happening. We wanted to make sure we provided the best resources to students and their families. And so we actually brought Logan Webb back, and he actually did a rally at some of our campuses and talked with students and shared what he had learned and used his new platform to give back. And so anytime I see a graduate that goes out into the world and starts their own business or their own company and comes back to mentor students, I think that's really the best testament of our district and the great work that we're doing.
What is some advice that you have for parents that are wanting to get involved in the education system?
Well, I would say definitely get involved, reach out, talk to your local electeds. You know, I think a lot of times people want to be respectful, and so they don't want to bother people that are in elected office, but the reality is we're here to serve you and to represent you, and we can only do that if we know how you want us to represent you. And so it's critical that you call and you text and you email. You know, some of my favorite phone calls are those on a Saturday night from a parent that has a question of something that was said or done on a Friday while their child was at school. And so I always encourage parents, speak out. Make sure that your elected officials are representing you. And if they're not, tell them. Tell them why you're concerned. Tell them what you're frustrated about so they can do better and serve you better. I'd also say get involved on a school level with committees. This is a great opportunity for parents to make sure that their voice is being heard, that the school districts understand and know what's happening with their student. With thousands and thousands of students, it's really the parents speaking up and saying what's important to them that really helps trustees like myself and school staff be able to make sure that they're changing and adapting to the needs of our students. And one of those committees I always encourage parents to be a part of is the LCAP. That's the Local Control Accountability Plan. Every school district has one. They're actually required to in the state of California. And what's important about the LCAP is it's every 3 years a revisiting of the priorities of the district. So trustees like myself and school staff use the LCAP to determine where to spend funds that come from the state and where to put our priorities. And so parent engagement on an LCAP in an LCAP committee, which usually just happens a couple times a year, helps us make sure our priorities are straight. If we have parents that are really concerned and want their students having more STEM opportunities, for example, share that when a survey is sent to you. Reach out, email your school board, text them, call them, participate in the opportunities that your schools give you to have your voice be heard more.
What are the school board's plans for this upcoming year?
We're, and you know, here now being in our third year of a 3-year plan, we are excited that we are already starting to see results of the great work that we've been doing with this LCAP. And specifically, we were just awarded here in Placer County. Placer County schools actually are the first in the entire state. They placed first in the area of language arts and third in the entire state out of all other counties for math achievement. And that really just speaks to the great work we've already been doing and that we're looking at building upon. But as future years go, we also know that although we're celebrating the great work of some of our newer campuses, we also want to make sure that all of our campuses have incredible experiences for our students. And so 2024, 2025, as trustees, we're really focusing on what supports do every campus need to make sure every single student is safe and successful on their campus. And so we're really putting an emphasis this next year on safety and achievement, making sure that every student on every campus is achieving and growing, but they're doing so in a safe environment. And so we really are re-looking at a facilities master plan. We're also re-looking at how we use our data. Before I was elected, we talked a lot about the great schools in Rocklin, but we really didn't have the data to show why our schools were so great. And so we've actually implemented these last 3 years some new assessments and data collecting to make sure that it's not just our highest achieving or our lowest achieving students that get the support, but every single student. We have a goal that each year they increase by a minimum of at least 1% in every test score range. And so we're very excited as a district that we are putting our emphasis on making sure our students are not only safe, but every single one of them are achieving.
Did you always want to be a part of the school board?
Oh, good question. Did I always want to be a part of the school board? Okay, if I am honest, when I was growing up, I didn't even know who was on the school board. When I was in high school, I didn't know who it was that was making the decisions for my district. And as a parent, if I'm completely honest, I didn't always know or understand who was making the decisions and why they were making decisions for my student. And so when you ask, did I always want to be on a school board? I knew I always wanted to get involved. I actually was on campuses for 8 years, serving, doing some social emotional supports and mental health supports for students on campuses, and also some math intervention and math engagement. But it really wasn't until I sat back and realized I didn't really know who it was that was making decisions for my students. And I wanted to make sure parents had a direct connection to somebody on the board, that they can pick up their cell phone, they could call them and say, hey, I'm concerned about this. Or can you help me learn more about this? And so it was really the last few years that I started to have an interest just to get involved more.
And finally, where do you see yourself in the next 4 years?
In the next 4 years, if I'm honest, I'm still figuring out what I'm going to be doing this weekend. So again, like I said, I never took on any new position for any political aspirations or desires. I mean it when I say I've worked in this community, I've lived in this community, I've served in this community. This is a community that I want to continue to give back to. And so right now, I can do that best on the Rocklin School Board. I can do that best by making sure parents have a voice in the decisions that are being made. I can do that best by making sure the funding that we received is spent on helping our students achieve and be better. And so when you ask where will I be in 4 years, hopefully right here continuing to do incredible work for our community. But I also made a promise to myself that I would spend each day focusing on what I can do best that day to better our community. And so I want to be careful that I don't ever get caught up in goals or aspirations that have nothing to do with students, because my ultimate desire is to make sure students are successful, that students are doing well. You know, I'm a mother myself. I have 3 children and actually 1 on the way, and I want nothing more than for them to have every opportunity to succeed. Not only the opportunities I had growing up, but the opportunities I didn't have. And so when you ask me, where do I see myself in 4 years? Hopefully it's still championing for students and children, because our future societies depend on them. Our future societies depend on them finding cures for cancer and depend on them leading us and leading the way. And so the more I can do now to invest in our students and make sure they have every opportunity to be successful out in the world, I couldn't think of anything greater to do.
Thank you so much, Ms. Tiffany, for joining us today and sharing all your wonderful experiences with us. It's amazing seeing all this inspiring work you're doing for us. With that, is there any final statements that you'd like to share with the audience?
Oh, well, first, Critty, I'd like to just say thank you. Thank you for the time that you've taken and just the opportunity to answer your questions. This is a beautiful example of what I would love to see more in our district. I love to see when students are able to engage with their school board members and ask them questions, because really, hopefully, every school board member ran for office to help students and to help mentor them and encourage them and help them be even better than we were. And I know I often joke that someday you'll come for my job, and I hope you do, because that means I've done my job well, and that I've done my job really well to set you up for success in life. And so I would just say to every viewer out there, don't hesitate to get involved. You know, your schools exist for you, to educate, to come alongside you, to work with you in educating your students. You know, I think it's absolutely beautiful, that opportunity that parents have to raise their children. And there are so many great resources out there. There are so many great clubs. There are so many great interventions. Don't hesitate to talk to your child's teacher, to engage with the school board, to engage with staff at the school, and let them know where your student's excelling. They probably already notice, and also where your student's struggling. They also probably already notice. And so I just, I thank you for taking the time to really listen in and want to learn more about schools. And so I encourage every viewer, reach out to your local electeds, get involved, and you never know, maybe run for office yourself. We just need good moms and dads, good people that care about their communities, serving and giving back. I always say it's local government that controls how we eat, how we play, how we work. And so it's really important that we elect good people that just genuinely care and want to do good in our communities.
Thank you so much for being here today, Ms. Tiffany, and sharing all of your wonderful experiences with us. And we are really grateful to have you here today.
I just wanted to say a huge thank you to Swara Media for the opportunity to really speak and just share about some of the work on local school boards. And a thank you to all of the listeners that are listening in. I'm encouraged by you, and I hope today I've been a little bit of an encouragement for you.
Thank you so much to Swara Media for recording this interview. And if you listeners have any questions, please feel free to let us know.
And to any student out there who might be interested in participating in an upcoming broadcast, I highly recommend you reach out to Swara Media. You know, this is not only an incredible opportunity for you to work on public speaking skills and practice interviewing other electeds, but this is a great opportunity for your resume as well. You know, as a trustee, I am always looking for students that I can send letters of recommendation to and speak out on their behalf. And a lot of schools, not only high school campuses, but universities will actually give course credit as well. So a huge compliment to Swara Media for always giving opportunities to students. And I encourage you, contact them to get involved in the next upcoming broadcast soon. I also want to say a special thank you to Krishna. It's parents like Krishna that are providing incredible extracurricular activities like this for students in our area that are making a difference. And so I encourage you, whether you're local or you're in a community far away, that you get involved and you provide opportunities just like this. I wish I had opportunities that students today have now. Thank you again for this incredible opportunity. Thank you to Swara Media, Kriti, and Krishna for this opportunity to share with you today.